Yeah, that,
Today I want to do a video on safety for children with firearms. All right, I was reading an article the other day, and a woman was at her house. Her 5-year-old son was playing with his .22 rifle. She went outside to pour some frying pan grease off for the dogs, heard a shot, went inside, and her 5-year-old son shot her 2-year-old daughter. This happened out in Kentucky. All right, there's so many problems with this situation. Okay, for one thing, they always left this 5-year-old's gun sitting over in a corner. He could access that gun 24/7. The other fact is obviously the gun had a round left in the chamber. All right, guns should always be safety checked and assumed are loaded every time you pick them up. You have to train your kids when they pick up a weapon. If it's their weapon that they use, don't pick up any weapon that's not theirs. Like if my handgun's out, my son knows not to touch that, although I never leave it out. But if I did, he knows to come get me, not to touch my handgun, okay? But you have to train them not to do that sort of thing. All right, so that's another problem, round in the chamber, not safety checked. Another problem is they left this gun accessible to this 5-year-old all the time. And if it was accessible to the 5-year-old, that means that the gun that was left in the corner was accessible to the 2-year-old all the time too. So they're leaving guns around that can be accessed by children all the time. This is so incredibly dangerous. Please never do this sort of thing, okay? This is my son, my 8-year-old son's rifle that I bought for him. It is a youth model rifle, single shot .22. Pretty similar to the one that happened in this incident, except that was a bolt action single shot cricket, which is the other most popular gun besides this Rossi for youth models for children to learn on. Okay? Now, I keep this gun locked up 24/7 in this giant steel gun safe. My son can't get at it. If my son comes to me though and says, "Dad, I want to see my rifle," which he periodically does, then we come out here and I pull it out of the safe, I open it, look down the barrel making sure it's empty, I then hand it to him in a safe manner, and I make him check it to instill that you always check a gun and assume it's loaded until you verify it's unloaded. And then I let him look at it and do whatnot, and I sit there with him and watch him and answer questions, but I make sure that he never points this barrel at me and that he never points the barrel at anything else that he shouldn't. I want him to know proper muzzle discipline. So please, teach your children how to safety check their weapons, how to maintain proper muzzle discipline, how to have the proper rules when they get to the range to be safe. I know some people choose not to lock up their rifles, but to lock up the ammunition. I think this is slightly dangerous with the .22s because kids have a bad habit of accidentally sticking a .22 in their pocket, and then later on when their rifle's left out, they go, "Oh, look, I have a .22. I might as well go put that in the rifle for fun," and then they forget it's in there, and next thing you know, you have an accident. So I would suggest keeping the rifle locked up. If you don't have a gun safe, which I know they're big, heavy, and expensive, all these rifles come with some type of safety lock mechanism or a trigger lock mechanism. So please use that when they're not in use. Keep them in a case, lock them up somehow where the children can't access them. All right, so these are the basics of firearm safety around children. There are people who have literally millions of people who've taught their kids how to responsibly use firearms, but these incidents continue to happen because of poor judgment by parents who are not maintaining the proper rules of firearm etiquette. You have to teach respect and etiquette about these rifles and weapons to children and pistols so that they don't have accidents. Now, if my son wants to go and shoot at his brother, he can't get at his .22 rifle to go do that with, although he knows he would never point a real gun at his brother and shoot him. And I don't like him shooting any gun at his brother, in fact. But if he were to go and want to shoot at his friends and they shoot at him, they have this, a clone blaster. And he also owns a Nerf gun or two. This one makes neat sounds though, so it's good for the camera. So anyway, I instill in my son proper respect for real firearms, and I let him play with toys so that he can have fun, and so that it is not taboo for him to be around firearms and to go shooting. But again, these are the basic principles that you need to instill in your children so that they are not having accidents when they are out of your presence with real firearms. They need to know that they are not a taboo object, that they are simply another thing in the house, just like a car, just like a knife, just like anything else that might be dangerous and cause deadly harm to people, and know how they're used and how to avoid using them when they shouldn't, and when to not access them and when it's okay to access them, with parental supervision, of course. So again, PM me if you have any questions. I know there's some people that may say this or that and have this opinion or that opinion. This is my take on this subject. Your mileage may vary. So again, remember, if you're not training, then you're doing yourself and your children a disservice. They need to be trained on these firearms properly and need to know the rules of how to use them and how to remain safe at all times. If they misuse a firearm, take it away and reprimand them and make them earn the privilege back. Thank you for listening.
Meep, meep.